So in yesterday's video, you saw me putting the truck back together, putting in a oil pressure sensor. And I said I would tell you today the results of our test drive, but we didn't test drive it. Drive it? Anyway, we didn't take it for a test drive. The reason is she wanted to make sure that everything that needed to be done, or could possibly need to be done, Carolyn, said, let's get it done. So what she wanted to do was get the oil changed, new oil filter, put in the oil sensor. And now you'll remember I put in 2 new variable valve timing solenoids in about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, somewhere around there. She said, let's go ahead and get some new ones. So we got some new ones that'll be coming in Thursday. And we'll just replace everything. And they were only $30, so. The thing that got us baffled is after we changed the variable valve timing solenoids, it ran good for a while, and now it's not. So we're thinking maybe the oil is not good. It's only at 55%, so we'll change that. That's all coming in on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we also have another PCV valve that we want to get changed out. So we'll get all that changed out, and then we'll take it for a test drive. And then after that, it's kind of, we're gonna have to take it to mechanic, I guess. I don't know if I really want to attempt to change out an oil pump. I think I can do it, but I'd rather do it on a car. If we had multiple cars, let's put it that way. When this is your only vehicle, it may not be a good idea to get into the engine. So got kind of busy last night. We got 2 jobs in it last night, and they're already gone. We had a lawnmower come in. Guy bought it used, paid $300 for it, and said it wouldn't start. Said I couldn't get it off my truck because it won't start. That's a bad camera angle. If I go over here, people are gonna complain about, oh, you got all that trash, you got tarps laying down and tires. So he bought it, couldn't get it off the truck because it wouldn't start. And he said, I bought a new battery, I put a new battery in it, and it still won't start. I called the guy back, and he said, are you jumping it? And yeah, just all kinds of stuff. So he brought it over, and he says, I'm not paying you for this. So I just stood in the back of his truck, and I tried to jump it with the jumper cables, and I tested it with the multimeter. And I said, well, the only thing I can suggest is, you know, I start looking at each component. Maybe it's the starter, maybe, you know, I don't know what it was. He says, well, how much are you going to charge me if I let you look at this? And I said, well, it's electrical. You know, if it was a carburetor, I'd say, you know, here's my price. But when you don't really know where to look first, you got to start somewhere, and we start working your way through the system. If it's the first thing in the system, then, you know, it's not going to cost much. If it's the last thing in the system, well, it's going to take a few hours. So he said, okay, sure. So what I determined was the key switch was bad. So I looked up how much it was going to cost to get a new one, and it was so old that they didn't sell them anymore. So I called him up and said, hey, I could put a push button switch in it. All you got to do is turn the key switch on, because that worked. It's just when you went to turn it to start it, it wouldn't work. And the key didn't even fit. That's the thing, it kept falling out. So I said I could put a push button switch in it, and I told him how much it would cost. He said, oh yeah, go ahead and do that. So he went and picked that up. He picked that up today. I think he's pretty happy. And then a lady brought over a push mower and couldn't figure out why it wouldn't run. It just had bad gas in it. So I just serviced it and gave it back to her this morning. It wouldn't start at all. Well, 10 pulls or so. Now it's pulling, you know, starting on the first pull. So when she picked that up this morning, she dropped off another one. Said it kept dying after 15 minutes. So I just let it run for 15 minutes, and as it started to die, you could hear it. It sounded like a fuel problem. So I took the gas cap off, and sure enough, started right back. I mean, it just ran fine. So the vent was clogged. The gas tank will have a vent somewhere, somehow. The cap, maybe something will have a vent. So so what I did was clean the clog out, and then I drilled a hole in the gas cap. That way, if it clogs again, they'll still have some venting going on. So she'll pick that up tomorrow, I guess, and then she's going to bring in a zero turn to have it serviced, which is great because, you know, that's good money. Services are good money. Then I've got this. I've started to put this together this morning. Now, I think in video 2 days ago or whatever, I asked you how I should film this on my other channel. And one person suggested not filming it. And when he said it, it occurred to me, yeah, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to film this one. Because of the repair I had to make. You know, I used JB Weld. I told you that in that video. So it's probably better that, you know, if I just was replacing a part, that would be a better solution. But trying to explain what I did and why I did it, and you know, and there's varying opinions. I knew there would be. I think the variety, most of the people who commented the other day suggested that the JB Weld was probably a fine repair, would do fine. So one person who does TIG welding suggested that the MIG and TIG welding, it would be difficult to do and probably wouldn't work. He thought that JB Weld was a better solution. So that made me feel better. But then I started putting it together this morning, off camera, and all of a sudden realized, wow, somebody's been in this. And it just never occurred to me before. I wasn't really focused on all the little things that were going on. I just took it apart because I knew what I was looking for. So what it was, and I've showed you this before, is this valve. Now I cut this in half, so it's a longer piece. But this is bent. And it was bent inside the engine. It's supposed to look like this. So this yesterday I got the other one. That'll replace the bent one. So I started to put it together today, and I realized, holy cow, there's a lot wrong with this. So the first thing I noticed is the compression relief. Well, you know, I should back up. The first thing I noticed was when I took this apart, I took this cam off of this shaft, and this was here. I didn't notice it right away because it was stuck on the bottom of the camshaft. The oil had made it stick to the bottom, so it was stuck there. So I didn't notice it at first, and so I asked Carolyn, did you put this washer here? And she said, no, I didn't do anything. So I looked at the parts diagram, and you're supposed to have one washer here and one washer here. So here and here. I'm not sure I had the camera on it, but both washers were on this one. One was on the top and one was on the bottom. Well, it wouldn't even work if it was on the bottom, because you've got these tabs that come out that are supposed to go in the grooves of that. So that was the first indication. And it kind of got me scratching my head, had somebody been in this, but I never really gave it much more thought, because I figured, well, maybe I messed it up. Maybe I did something I wasn't thinking, you know, that kind of stuff. So then, this morning I started putting it together, and I realized the spring on this is missing. There's supposed to be a spring here that holds this back. So this is your compression relief. So it's supposed to, so what it is you got this little bump here, and then when you move this out of the way, the bump becomes flat. So I'll do it on camera. So that turns. So the spring, there's no spring there. It's missing. Gone. So you would kind of think, well, it's got to be in the engine somewhere. It's got to be down there. Well, I've completely cleaned it out. All the oil is out of it. And I didn't find any spring, and I didn't find any metal residue either with my magnet. So I'm thinking maybe it's missing. Now, another thing I noticed, which could be just a problem, is this cam was originally over here. And you can switch them back and forth. I mean, it's the same part number. There's nothing different about it except one. See, you can put that over there. Put this over here. And so this one was over here, but it doesn't matter. This is broke. You can see that's broke. It's supposed to be raised up like that one. That way when your compression relief comes, it gets stopped. Well, there was nothing stopping it over here. So I just switched those out because that's still a usable cam. It just doesn't have a compression relief. So then I was trying to figure out why the governor was on the wrong side of the camshaft. It was tucked up underneath here. And I couldn't remember how it was supposed to go together. I even looked at the parts diagram and it didn't explain anything. I'm like, this just isn't right. There's no way that works underneath a cam like that. So I got on YouTube and I started looking, and it's not. It's supposed to be right where it is now. This is the governor. As you'll see, as I push this, it pushes this down. That's the governor. The governor was completely upside down. It was down here. And there's no way I did that. I mean, I didn't do it. So that was wrong. That was just completely wrong. Well, who did it? So I realized now that somebody's been in this. So I'm kind of glad I discovered the spring was broke. Or gone, or whatever. Because now I'm starting to see all the little things popping up. If I'd have just put it back together this morning, if I'd had all the, you know, if I'd just started putting it together, I mean, this thing would have been terrible. It would have over-revved. I could have blown the engine. I'd have had to tear it back apart and try to figure out what was wrong. It would have been, you know, twice as much work. So I'm kind of glad everything got halted. Now, the last thing that makes me think somebody's been in this is the dipstick is broke. So here's the dipstick, and it's completely missing. There's no dipstick there. Where is it? And why isn't it in the engine? Wouldn't it have broken the engine? This is what the dipstick's supposed to look like, which I did buy a new one. Here's what I'm thinking, is when he took it out of the engine, when he lifted this cover off of the engine, he set it down, and when he set it down, it snapped it. Snapped it off. Otherwise, you would think it would be somewhere in the engine, because that would have dropped down, you'd have never been able to get it out. So again, I'm really glad that I saw the spring problem. I just never paid attention to it earlier. I wanted to resolve my problem, you know, why this was bent. I got that resolved. So part's supposed to take another week and 2 days to get here. I told him it was going to take some time when I got into it. So last week I told him. So but the thing is within an hour of me ordering the part, they shipped it. FedEx, so it should be here pretty quick. I don't think it's going to take a full week. So just an interesting day. I'm kind of glad I slowed down on this one. Slowed my roll, as they say. So I don't know, business has been pretty consistent. I'm pretty happy. You know, we just keep making a little bit of money here and there. And I'm take my time on this, that way I don't have to spend a lot of time worrying to, you know, fixing any problems that come up later. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video on my other channel. So I hope I can inspire you. Slow your roll so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.